I think I remember, but do you guys remember where I ended? Where we were talking about?
You were self-confidence and confidence.
That's the only thing you remember. I have your Starbucks gift cards in my car.
I was 9 years.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all we did then. Great. Okay. Cool. So I actually got to shadow Shauna over last Tuesday, so that was a lot of fun. So I got to see like the sales process kind of in real time. So that was really fun. So today's training then will be a lot more particular then. Like we'll just dive in. Last week, hopefully we did some mind stuff. You guys feel good, like asking people for the sale and go. Does anybody still feel like this sales word, like sales is the S word still? We're all pretty much over that. You always feel that way. That's okay. All right. And then remind me, how many people actually are with clients all the time? 1, 2, 3. Actively like selling. Everybody is.
A piece I didn't really mention is our techs with them doing the procedures that they do, the optimize and those things too.
So can you break that down for me?
Well, we do some procedures for dry eye treatment. And
Okay.
they can be as high as what, $2,000?
Yeah.
Oh.
So if we recommend some of those, then we leave the patient with savings.
How does that go? Are you got like a high?
I feel like it's pretty good because it's like right after the doctor like sees them and like came like they meet with her to like go over just like the details.
Uh-huh.
So usually it's okay, but then some people are like, oh, that's like too much. So
Okay.
it's like,
Yeah. And I guess my question then is, because I want to make this as applicable as we can, but we can run through it pretty quick. For you, what's the hardest part of that?
I just the hardest part is like they're not like getting anything like physical to like take home. It's just like something I do like on their skin or like on their eyes. So it's like once that's done, they just leave and they pay all this money and they don't like take like glasses with them, anything.
Oh, okay. So you're not selling like the physical thing.
It's just like a treatment.
Yeah.
It's like hard. They like want something. Like
Oh,
physical, I don't know.
besides besides being healthy, I get it. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Is it okay? So do you? And I was going to open this up to everybody because after we met with Shauna, I also went and talked to a few other like optical salespeople to get just some general stuff so that we could go over it. But is there any like specific? I don't want to say objections because we're actually going to talk about that today, like how to overcome maybe some like common things that people say. But like, what are some common things that you hear out there? I mean, I can guess, but I don't want to. Like insurance, I know is probably one of them. Like, what does my insurance cover? One of them is probably like, that's a lot of money. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Guy last week was like, well, I can go to Lens Crafters for a frame for 120. He said,
Yeah.
I had a Costco guy last week.
Yeah.
And I said, you're welcome to take this, but these are our warranties, our product, and we have higher quality of product. And
Yeah.
Use your insurance benefit.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, he walked, but I don't want to deal with people like that anyway, truthfully. So if
Okay.
you're going to be a jerk,
That's it.
like they're going to be the ones that come.
Yeah, we had one. The one that,
Are just.
yeah.
But I let him know all of the benefits of buying from us.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
like, because his insurance was like contribute $150 towards a frame. It's for his kids. I'm like, and then they'll give you 20% off the overage. And he's like, well, I'll find one for less than $150. And we don't.
We don't have 150. Yeah. And
And I
yeah.
wanted like to let him know that before he comes out here. And
Yeah. And there's, yeah.
he's like, where are all your agreements for this price?
Yeah, that's fair.
But he was. If you tried to like, I think he was trying to like bargain with me, like, well, I can get
Oh,
it
of
here,
course.
so what are you going to do for me here?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Match pricing.
How'd that go? I feel like it probably would have.
So about it too, but he was like,
well, I can find it here. And then he actually left us a one-star review online about it. But he was just like, I can find it here. Like, you need to
Yeah.
watch it. And I was like, your insurance covers it completely. And he's like, well, but I would pay less here. I was like, okay. You're going to pay full price there because you can't keep your insurance. Here, you're just paying taxes on it. And he's like, well, I don't
Yeah.
pay less taxes. Well, I'm not in charge of
You're like,
taxes. So.
Yeah, all I'm thinking right now is hashtag welcome to retail, right? Like, this is life right now. I remember that. Okay, like any specific, who else, you're a tech, who else is a tech? Is it just you? You're,
It's just Riley and Peyton
Okay.
that like do the sales for those specific treatments.
okay, cool. So you got like, so for you, it's mainly price, and then maybe you getting you comfortable with like, how do I sell something that's not physical? Like that they don't get to like take or whatever. Yeah, because I mean, obviously there's a lot of benefit and you see it, right? Okay. You guys got to believe that what you're selling is worth whatever they're paying. That's the first thing, because I told the story, I don't know who was here last week, but I told the story of that, with a sales guy who just treated everybody like they were going to be mean, and then they were mean. So, I mean, that's kind of part of it, right? It's like putting that out there. Okay, we'll definitely go over that because that's kind of part of the sales process, right? The first thing in retail, I went over it last week. If you're going to be in retail, you have to do a few things really, really well. One of those is like qualifying or like needs analysis, but you got to be like really fast with that, right? So we got to have like 4 or 5 go-to questions that we ask everybody that we can gauge pretty quickly where they're at. And then if we need to layer some questions on top of that to get a better idea, then we can. But those 4 or 5 go-to questions, we can hit in like 2 or 3 minutes. That way we know pretty much where someone's at. Like if I was selling, we talk about insurance. So if they're an Adobe customer, I know that they've got a $3,000 limit or something like that, right? So that means they're going to buy 14 pairs of glasses today. I don't know. I'm just kidding. You know what I'm saying? So like insurance would be one. But then more importantly, so one thing that gets missed when you're talking about like sales and retail and things like that is, and you're talking about like a needs analysis, because the idea is we want to gather information. We don't want to like feel like someone's interrogating, right? Like I'm being interrogated. So there's a couple things that we have to do to make that question process go pretty smooth. And one of those is letting them know like that you're going to ask questions and how long it's going to take, right? So my favorite line, adapted for optical sales, is like, hey, I know you just got done with an appointment. It probably took a long time. You could throw a joke in there, like, I know you were waiting in the office for long, whatever, right? Like, I know that you've been here a while, and I don't want to take any more of your time. So if you give me 5 minutes up front, I'll ask a couple questions, let you know how I can best help you, and then we'll get you out of here ASAP. I like to throw in there like, oh, and by the way, like if we don't have anything or if this doesn't work, no worries, we'll let you go right away. But letting me ask these questions up front will let me know that pretty quickly. And then most people will be like, okay, cool. Like if they just know, right? Like we talked about that, right? Everybody's been in that situation where you've been talking and then they stop talking and you say out loud or in your head or in a review, you're like, if you would have told me, I would have been okay. But you didn't tell me and now I'm pissed, right? Like we could have worked through this. So that's kind of the idea, is like let them know up front what's going on. So managing expectations is the first thing. So letting them know that you're going to ask questions and it's going to be time. That's probably the biggest one. And then just telling them that. I'm a big like empathy person, and my sales training is all empathy based. And a big piece of empathy is just very transparent, open, but we still have a job to do, right? Like I still have to do this. And if I ever get with somebody who's really mean, I'm like, hey, look, this is what I do to feed my family. Like I just got to ask these couple questions, and if it doesn't work, sweet, but I got to do this real. You know what I mean? I think you just do that. The second thing, so if you know that there's like big objections that are going to come, like with everybody, no matter what. We talked last week about like an accusation audit. We learned that principle. Does anybody remember kind of what that is? I can review it. So it's just telling them. So like if like we talked about in insurance, like how I handle insurance, right? How I would handle insurance would sound something like, hey, so typically, what's your name? Riley. So typically, Riley, insurance, depending on who you have, can cover, about $150 towards a pair of glasses. That's normally what we see. I'll definitely double check for you. But the good news is insurance doesn't change. You can't negotiate it, neither can I. So typically when insurance covers up to $150, you can plan on spending out of pocket anywhere from $50 to $100 for frames today. If we find something you like and we get everything good to go, is that something you're comfortable with? Now you've kind of taken all of that out of their gun, right? Like, oh, well, my insurance does this and my insurance does that. And now what that does, and now that objection may very well come up again. But what you did was you gave yourself some time to explain things like features and benefits, right? And then you also, in their head, they know that they're ready to spend money outside of their deductible, depending on what they. And then if they cover more, you can be the hero, right? And be like, hey, your insurance covers $200, so I actually have a pair of glasses that'll cost you $50 today. You know, they'll never break, blah, 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 whatever, right? And then we can go over that. Now, if you know that Costco or LensCrafters is going to be one, I do the same thing, right? So look, maybe we go through the objection one, and so then what are we going to say if someone is going to go to Costco or LensCrafters? Well, I'll just bring it up before they ever bring it up. Now, most of our customers really like to compare us with LensCrafters, Costco, and you can definitely go to Costco. I know that there's some affordable options over there, but I'd love to take 2 or 3 minutes to explain to you why it might be a better option for you to take some of our frames and lens pairing versus a Costco or a LensCrafter. I mean, like when I said that, how did you guys feel? Like if you were the customer, what are your thoughts? Are you going to give me
I
3?
feel like you were planting a seed for them to have that as an option to go to Costco.
Right. A little.
I don't know if I would necessarily want that right off the bat.
Sure. And let me explain why though. Because like if you, like when you had your LensCrafter customer, when he brought up LensCrafter, how did the vibe change? How did the energy change?
I don't change the way I talk to them.
Well, I know, but like for your customer.
Like him?
Yeah. Like the energy of the conversation. Yeah. You're like, I'm a mom. This ain't gonna fly. No.
Like when he got a little defensive a little bit because I wasn't like, these are our prices and I can't
Right.
change that for him.
Yeah.
So he kind of like was a little more standoffish and a little more defensive about the things like when I was
Yeah.
saying to him.
Right. Well, which is fine. Like, yeah. You can't control. Yeah, we can't control how they feel, unless we do this, right? So there's some counterintuitive approaches, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. But what it does is it disarms them. So last week we talked about a key thing in sales or just communication in general is like this pattern interrupts. Like if you go to a car dealership and you ask what the price is, what are you expecting them to say?
Something over like
Yeah. Or like you're expecting them, or like if you go into a clothing store and they have like a personal dresser, right? Or whatever. And they'll go like, how much is this? You're expecting some like games. You're expecting a little bit of like, oh, I don't know, like it depends and all this stuff, right? But if before we even ever ask that, I say, hey, our prices are typically, right? It's like, oh, because now we can have a conversation. So, and now you're not so defensive about they're not defensive, right? Because you just said something that they totally don't expect, number one. And then number two, you gave them that option. It's like your kids, right? Like, hey, I know you don't want to go to bed at 7, right? Like, well, yeah, of course I don't want to go to bed at 7. But like they're already thinking that, and then you can follow up with it, right? So before they ever give the objection, there's no arguments anymore. That's what I like to do. It lowers responses. It makes you not like everybody else when you talk about pricing.
Is that I don't know anything about LensCrafters warranties. I don't know anything about their pricing. I don't know anything like about all of that. So bringing it up like at the beginning, telling them that like our stuff is better or whatever, which I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I don't really know enough about them to be able to answer any questions that they do, like a patient does have.
Yeah.
They were asking like, well, does LensCrafters take my insurance? They took it last year. I really don't. I have no clue.
Yeah. So easy answer there. Just go learn about LensCrafters. Right. Yeah. So that's the first one. The second one is you don't need to know. Right? Like if somebody starts asking questions about LensCrafters, like, hey, that's LensCrafters. But remember that in sales, one of the rules is where there's no difference, there can be no preference, right? So they probably know more about lens crafters than you do. And so if they're like, oh, they take my insurance, they probably take your insurance. They're probably almost, as far as their process goes, they're probably exactly like us. But let me, and then I even tell people that, like, but where there's no difference, there can be no preference. So I'd love to show you why it might make more sense, why it could possibly make more sense to do business here versus lens crafters, right? You go in that curious tone. I like those lower defensive terms, like possibly, maybe, could be, right? Like, I don't want to make any promises, right? Because again, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing when we ask questions or when we need to do this stuff? It's not necessarily that I'm going to change their mind about going to lens crafters. I just need time. Like, I need 2 minutes for you to just listen to me, what I have to say, right? And then you can make a decision. Like, nobody wants to make an uneducated decision. Everybody wants to feel like they got the best deal. Everybody wants to feel like they made a good decision in their life, right? And we get sales confrontation because people have felt like they haven't gotten a good deal or they've been taken advantage of in the past, right? So they're bringing all of this with them. And that's another reason why I like that counterintuitive approach, is because they already have all these bad things in their head, right? So I might even say that too to customers. Like if I'm selling like a sales training for me, right? I'll be like, hey, you probably spend a lot of money on sales trainers in the past. They gave you 45 minutes and then they left and you never heard about them again. And I know how frustrating that can be. I'd love to explain to you why our relationship going forward might possibly be different than that. Okay, you have 5 minutes, right? Like, okay, deal. Because it's your delivery. It's how you approach these customers. Because if you're dealing with a lot of them, one rejection, one bad customer can lead to just this spiral in your head. And then we start bringing, part of hyper empathy is we start bringing what other customers did to new customers. And we want to try to keep that as fresh as we can. Does that make sense? So there'll be times when, you're going to get a lot of no's, but if we have those go-to questions, if we can manage each person individually, then we can start fresh kind of every time. And I don't want to talk a bunch, but are there any questions so far? Like any concerns or anything up to this point?
I don't think so. I think similar to like what you're saying though, I think Rich has it set up really well where like they sit down with an optician, the optician goes over like what their insurance is going to cover, and then they come out here and it's their choice how much they spend on a frame. If they really like a specific design of a frame, it's clearly stated the cost of that frame, and it's not like that's going to be negotiated. And so I think that's another thing that like they have to their advantage as opticians is like prices are clearly stated and it's not going to fluctuate from that. But we do have other deals that like if you buy more, you save more. And so these are some other possibilities if you're finding several frames that you like.
Yeah.
Just know that there are kind of these added discounts that we'll like be able to come up with afterwards. But like I think that it's also understanding that it's their choice how much they spend on a frame. Their insurance is going to give them this much. And so, like you said, it's up to them if they're going to spend $50 more or $150 more, depending on which frame and style they choose.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, really the only thing that's like negotiable, quote unquote, is where they get their frame from. Because regardless of where they go, if they use their insurance, their copays are going to be the exact same.
Yeah.
Because like we go off of their copays, so it's like no matter what, you have the insurance will contribute $150. Whether you go somewhere that's completely covered or you go somewhere that's not, you're paying the same amount for lenses.
Yeah.
And so it's really just kind of like the frame that is really quote unquote negotiable for them as far as like how much they want to spend on that, because lenses aren't going to change.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad I asked the question because I'm not necessarily talking about negotiation, right? Like haggling. That would be. There's two definitions. There's negotiating, which is us talking and trying to convince one another our deal is right? Like you negotiate with your kids or your job or customers. Then there's like bartering, which is like, I want $50 off, I'll give you 20. Well, let's settle for 15, right? Like that's like haggling, right? And I don't personally like haggling. I think it's just, So I mean, but you can negotiate these glasses even though you don't change the price. Does that make sense? Because negotiating will be like, I'm trying to keep you at Eagle Vision versus going to Lens Crafters. We can negotiate that. Yeah. And then, but yeah, haggling. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect you guys to do anything other than, the price is $425, cash or card, right? Like, you know what I mean? But hopefully you can do that after you've had an intelligent conversation with somebody, after you've explained to them what's going on and you've explained the benefits to them. And then you can say, well, good news, your insurance covers $150. Everything above that, we offer 20%. So that means for these glasses that you love, that we talked about, all these blah, 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 you're going to spend $75 today out of pocket.
I think that's something I mentioned as well. Is sometimes the hot patients are like, oh, you know what? I'll just go buy a frame elsewhere and I'll come get the lens from you guys. And I was like, oh, you're welcome to do so.
Yeah.
Yes, you're aware of, like, when you buy a frame from us, you do have a warranty on it. Warranties is something that a lot of the time people is like, oh, yeah.
That's
So that
okay.
means if I get any breaks, then I'll need to get a new one. And I was like, yeah, because you won't have a warranty if you bring it from someone else.
I like that.
Same with the kids. Sometimes I have patients
Let's
that
go.
are like, I'll just buy them a cheap pair of glasses in Zen because they're really rough glasses. It's like, well, it's always good to have a backup pair, but if you want to use your insurance, this is your benefit, and you have a 2-year warranty on the lenses and the frame. So
Yeah.
with kids, it's really helpful to have a warranty because they're usually go through glasses for fast.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Oh, that makes sense. Like, and I can even just get a Zenny pair after to just get like a backup pair, you know?
Yeah.
So that's like knowing the benefits that they have when we like when they purchase lenses and frame from us, or even just getting even the prescription from us. That's something that makes them evaluate like the options that they have. And usually they'll just need to come to us to do everything. So that way they're all covered. The basics, they cover all the basics.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have a 7-year-old who has glasses, and I did whatever that they told me. I was like, let's get the nice ones with the warranty. She'll break them for sure, so we'll need to. Like, yes, kids are pretty easy, and I've done that before for sure. And so one thing that I do want to mention here that I think will help you convert those extra customers is a principle that I learned a long time ago, which is trade your cleverness for curiosity, right? Because we've all been in those situations where, like, you know, there's 2 phrases that people love to buy, but they hate being sold, right? And then in education, it's the same thing, which is people love to learn, but they hate being taught, right? So so what's the difference between learning and teaching? I would say when they learn for themselves versus being told what to do, right? And that's kind of the same thing with kids, right? And so how do you do that? How do you help people learn for themselves? Yes, really good questions, right? So like if somebody came up to me and they were like, I'll take my lenses here and my glasses, I'm just going to get them from Lens Crafters. Is that okay? Oh, totally. Let me ask you this, Lens Crafters. I don't know if we're partnered with them, but do you know if they will cover the lens, if they'll make any adjustments from our lens to their frames? And do you know if they can do that pretty quickly? Like, I've never worked with Lens Crafters. Do you know if that's something that they do? And now you're like, actually, I don't know if they do that. Okay, well, the only reason I say that is you're more than welcome to go to Lens Crafters. But at Eagle Vision, when you get the lenses from us and the frames, we have a warranty that if for some reason those lenses don't match, right, because these are products that we don't make, and neither does Lens Crafters, by the way, we will guarantee the lenses and the frames fit. And I think that Lens Crafters will do that too. But do you know how long, if you had to send glasses back in, have them fix it, and then get them back, do you know how long that would take, typically? Yeah, I've heard other customers say between a week and a half and 2 weeks. So that means if there's a problem with them when they come back, you'd have to wait about 2 weeks for them to get back. With us, it might be a day or 2. In fact, sometimes it can be, or whatever, right? Like, whatever it might be. That was an example. Okay, an example. I don't know. All right. Maybe, yeah. But you see what I'm saying? But the difference is, like, the questions that you ask to get their wheels turning, right?
But us here, like
Yeah. Like, right. But you asked them a question to get their wheels spinning, to like get them out of the lens crafter mindset, right? Like, oh yeah, that would kind of suck. And whatever you can do here, like, I don't know. So you got to make that statement true, because I'm definitely not telling you to lie. But the idea would be the same, which is, and maybe there's something else you can do. But that's also why being a product specialist would be important. Maybe they're, maybe if they do have to wait, we can give them a backup pair. Maybe if, I don't know what you do, but if you have those options, you can discuss them with a client after you've asked kind of questions to get them out of their argumentative phase, right? Because everybody's got it, like we all have an ego, and I don't want to be wrong, and I'm never going to be wrong, especially if you tell me that I'm wrong, right? Like that's the fight that we don't want to get in, with a customer. Does that make sense? Because that would be another thing of a probing question. So that would be part of this too, which is, so how do we like ask questions? Like, how do we start digging? Did you have something?
I think it's true.
What?
That everything that you're saying, like, it totally makes sense. Like, just everything with, like, the customer trying to almost, like, manipulate their way of thinking.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we learned the difference between manipulation and persuasion.
That's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah,
it just,
we want to persuade them, right? Because what's the difference between manipulation and persuasion again?
Trying to get
Manipulation is getting them to do something for your benefit. Persuasion is getting them to do something for their benefit. Right. So yes, because that's a subtle difference, there is a way that we can change that, right? Because this can easily, like, I've been in sales for over 10 years. I can very easily turn this into a manipulation. Like, you know what I mean? But we don't want to do that. We don't want people to feel like that, right? Because 90% of sales is how people are feeling when they're doing something, because sales is 100% emotional. There is no logic in sales. Like, as much as, and anybody can fight me on this, because if it was logical, we wouldn't have Lamborghini dealerships. Everybody would just buy a $1,000 car that got them from point A to point B, right, as quickly and efficiently as possible, and they would make cars to last as long as they possibly can. We don't do that, right? We don't do that. I would rather ride in X car versus a Y car. And because I would rather do that, I'm okay with spending $100,000 more. Or same with lenses, right? Like, yes, if everybody just needed glasses over their face to see, we would be stuck in the 1800s with lenses, right? Like, nothing would change. But we don't. We like glasses that work with our face. We like colors that work with our eyes and our skin tone. And we like, right? I like thinner glasses. I like thicker glasses. I like these things, right? Like 100% emotional. Nothing is logical. The people who come in here and say, lens crafters or Costco, think they're making a logical decision. Until they go to Costco and they have no options, the optician doesn't care about the glasses matching their face or the colors matching their eyes, or that they don't look weird. They are it's like a cattle farm, right? In, out, as fast as you can, as many people as you can, right? And that's also part of a pitch that you could have for lens crafter versus Costco. Like, for sure, absolutely go to lens crafters. Have you ever tried to talk to an associate at lens crafters? It's a nightmare. How many times do you call customer service and hit 0 until you talk to a real person? Right? Like, do you ever call customer service and you're like, dude, I just want to talk to a human being, right? I don't want to go onto your web chat. Yeah, pound zero. Yeah, like, if you're like me, I don't want to do that. The good news is because we have a customer experience here that's not like lens crafters or Costco, we're going to get you exactly what you need, and you're never going to have to worry about it. And here's the cool thing. If it's $50 over your insurance pay, I'll give you 20% off. That's when you can start doing stuff like this, right? And by the way, I like to, this is the only thing that might sound manipulative, but I like to hold discounts until I can use them. Does that make sense? Like with your kids, like, don't show all your cards right away. You know what I mean? Like, let's see what happens, right? And I'm not saying don't give anybody discounts, even if they don't ask for them, right? Like, be the good guy, help them out, right? But like, when people, there's a difference between when you see everything, right? They don't value it as much, right? Because you're like, everybody has this stuff, right? Like, but even if they don't, a customer will think in their head, like, everybody's got this, right? So if you can strategically put in where you're different, it will look like you're more different, right? Because I'm going to go back to this idea that if I tell you that you're wrong, are you wrong? Probably not. In retail, you're a good person, right? If I told you you're wrong, we might have a conversation. But if we're in retail, if I'm with a patient, I'm definitely not wrong. like I've already looked on Google about what's wrong with my eyes. Okay, you don't need to tell me, right? Like, you're like, come on, dude, this is crazy. So how do we? But if we know that's coming. If we know that a customer is going to come in and all they're going to care about is insurance, all they're going to care about is going to Costco, all they're going to care about is spending the least amount of money that they possibly can, right? How do we navigate that conversation? And I'm telling you to take all of the bullets out of their gun. Like, Shauna, I realize, thanks for coming. You spent your time with the doctor. Would love to, we go through our whole spiel right there. Now I realize if you're like me, anything over $1 is too expensive. Right. I want you to get out of here spending the least amount of money with the highest quality glasses that you possibly can. I know that a lot of our customers have looked at Costco and LensCrafters in the past, and I'd love to just take 5 minutes to show you why we're different. But if LensCrafters ends up being the best option for you, by all means. Right, and I'm doing that because I'm just taking all of I'm taking all of the argumentative stuff away from them. They can't, there's nothing else, right? It's called the 8 Mile principle. You guys have 8 Mile? Eminem? You ever see the movie? No?
I know what you're talking about.
You ever talk about though? Okay, the scene? Okay, so at the end of 8 Mile, it's a rap battle, and he's going to make fun of Eminem, but Eminem goes out there and says everything that the person is going to make fun, and then the guy runs away because he loses, right? So that's the idea, is like, I'm just, you're going to tell me that I'm bald, that I have a beard, that I have a big tattoo, I don't look like I should be a sales trainer, right? Or even worse, I look like I'm a sleazy sales trainer, right? Like, I hear all of you on that. I'd love to tell you why, though, that it might be worth your time to hear me out. That would be how you do that, right? Yeah. Like, I'm pretty young, and I've been in sales long enough to where many times I've been the youngest. Like, this dude's bought more cars than, the number of cars he's bought in his lifetime is greater than the number of years I've been alive, right? Like, I've been in those power imbalances a little bit, right? Like, listen, I've been buying glasses since before you were born, okay? Like, I know how to buy glasses, right? Like, like, you hear that all the time?
I've been wearing glasses for so long. You were probably like a baby.
Yeah. So how do you... That's so crazy. I didn't think it would. But so cool. So how do you overcome that, right? Like, because that would be like a power imbalance. That would be like, I'm better than you. I know what I'm doing more than you. Even though you get paid, you feed your family with this profession. Like, I do this for a living. I think also I might know, right? Like, so how do you have that conversation, right?
I usually just like, oh, cool. That's what you know what you like. So let's figure out what do you like?
Yeah.
Dude.
Dude.
Something cool. That makes my job easier because then I'm not having to sit here and be like, okay, because they're gonna want this and they're gonna want this. It's like, oh yeah,
right.
This is what you like. Cool. Let's find something that fits within those parameters and then we find it.
And then we say, oh, you want this option, then you like this. Okay, great, let's go down.
I think
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's exactly right. Because, and I mean, you guys are great at this, right? I'm hoping that as what I'm talking about just gives you a few little extra things that you can take to the table. But yeah, that's great, right? Like, oh, perfect. So that means we're going to be out of here in 5 minutes and you're cool spending $75. Make sure you get that 20% off, right? There's your frames. There's your lenses. Here's your card, right? Here's the invoice. like, oh, perfect. But see, that's the reason that works so well and that it's so comfortable is because people aren't expecting that. They're ready for a lot's changed. not really, right? Like, because again, it's that they're already defensive. Like that statement isn't necessarily about, even though it's true, it's not, it's a red herring, right? It's something to throw you off. It's not about the age or the experience. It's, I don't trust you, right? And so we got like 20 minutes, but I want to talk about trust really fast. Trust is a scale, is a spectrum, right? Like I'll buy glasses from you, but you're not going to watch my kid, right? Like, and vice versa. Like you'll come listen to me train, but you're probably not going to let me run your finances. And that's cool, right? You don't trust me enough to do that, which is totally fine. But you can trust somebody enough to buy glasses from them, to do these tests from them, right? So the idea is you use empathy and these kind of conversational tricks to get trust quickly and enough that they're like, okay, yeah, you're probably right. I probably shouldn't go to LensCrafters, right? So it's that idea. And then you throw in like humor and things like that. So you're going to ask like an open-ended question, and then you're going to probe. So you're going to be like, what kind of glasses do you typically wear? Right? What have you liked in the past? What colors do you like? And all these things. And then, you're going to hear something, right? But as far as, before we go, like, because you guys sell frames and things that they can leave with. But you said you have a hard time getting the physical, like that stuff. So what would you say is like the hardest part, like for you in your head? Is it that? Is it like I'm not giving them anything physical?
I don't know. But it's just, I feel like it's a lot of money, and then when I'm like, yeah, like, I'm just gonna do it, and then like after I do it, they come out and pay that much money for like 10 minutes. And like,
Yeah.
sorry, like, yeah, you don't get to take anything home with you. I don't know.
Okay.
But like, I mean, it's great.
But a lot of people are happy after they leave and they pay. Okay.
And I
Okay.
think they're happy even with just the experience that they have with you. Like,
Yeah.
all of the patients that work with them when doing those treatments, like, come out and worry about them, and they just stay with the same person. And I think they, like, they build a rapport and relationship with them after the doctor. And so I think, like, you guys are really good about, like, explaining what they're going to get. I don't think that they're being caught or anything like that. And then they
Well,
walk
I was
out
gonna
and
say-
like, I didn't get the results I wanted.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say,
Honest about it.
it probably isn't, I'm probably not going to give you anything that you can tell customers, except for maybe some price stuff. Because for you, it sounds like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I totally could be. But it sounds like you might not be super confident in not giving them a physical thing. It's okay. It's just me and you. You're right? I mean, so that would be a mindset thing for you. Because remember, like if you believe that they're getting a good deal, right? And let's just talk for a minute about how like making money works in real life, which is you're not paid for your time. You're paid for the problems that you solve and what you know, right? So $2,000 for 10 minutes might be a steal, because what's the alternative? Yeah, I don't know, right? Like, what's the alternative if they don't get it?
Just
Try eyes. Yeah, I mean, like, what?
It's being miserable.
Yeah. So, and by the way, that's kind of how you drill down. So a lot of like sales trainers will be like, oh, features and benefits, and like a feature is what it does, and a benefit is how it solves your problem. So like dry eyes isn't okay, but like what? And that would be the problem that you're trying to solve. That's why $2,000 would be worth it, because what happens when you have dry eyes? I don't know. Maybe you got to go to the store 3 times a day to get eye drops, and you might as well. And after 2 months, you're going to spend $2,000 on eye drops versus 10 minutes with me, right? Like, and the difference is, insurance might cover some of the $2,000, and insurance covers none of the two, or whatever, right? Like, I don't know. But so you have to have that conversation in your head to believe it, and they'll believe it. They'll be fine. Yeah, like this is people will feed off of your energy, right? Like they'll believe you if you believe it. And so if $2,000 is a deal and you don't make it a big deal, then it's going to not be a big deal. Then it's going to be the best deal that they've ever got, right? And I know that is borderline kind of manipulative, right? But it's true though. Like if you genuinely believe that you're helping somebody, and you genuinely believe that right now in Eagle Vision, they're not going to get anything better. It doesn't matter where they go. They're going to feel that. And yeah, I mean, $2,000 hurts. Doesn't matter what you're spending it on, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're Warren Buffett and $2,000 is a dinner, or if you're a single mom and $2,000 is your life savings, right? It's a lot of money. But if you believe that you're solving a real problem, that you're helping people genuinely, and you're authentic about that, they're going to believe it and pay the money. Because is that procedure cheaper somewhere else? No. Like, right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so listen. So that's the other thing. Is like, my mindset changed when I realized that you're going to spend $2,000 with me, and then I know you're going to get a good experience. I know that I'm going to do it right. You've got my guarantee that if anything goes wrong, I'm going to fix it. Versus, I'm going to let you go. You're going to spend $2,000 or more, and I don't get any of that. Like, I don't get to make sure that you're okay. I'm going to be the bad guy when you come back from a different place because I didn't do a good enough job convincing you or persuading you that this was a good deal, right? Like that. I mean that, but that's like what I think about, right? Like when I'm talking to somebody about sales training, when I'm talking to somebody about whatever I'm selling, right? Like, you can go to me and I know I'm a good enough person that I will make sure that this is right no matter what. Or you can go to somewhere else and I have no clue, right? If you're going to get treated badly or not. And I'm not saying don't get treated badly, but like, I believe that I have the best, right? And if I believe that and I talk like that, then people are going to feel that, right? And that doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt or whatever, right? But like, you're giving them a really good service. And I think that's probably the beginning of sales, is that Ruth's Chris mindset. Were you here last week? Talk about that? Yeah, it's that premium mindset. Like, if you want to sell $500 glasses, they're going to get a $500 experience, right?
I think so much of what you're saying boils down to confidence and mindset of what we have here.
Yeah.
And I can speak pretty generally that we do here.
Mm-hmm.
And you're giving us a little bit more means of which how to communicate that.
Yeah.
How to avoid these situations, but really it comes down to we love our products.
Yeah.
And we're excited to tell you about them.
Right. And I'll tell you something about human nature and psychology just really quick, even though that's like the last thing I like to talk about. But our human brain doesn't know the difference. And this is why words matter and definitions matter and how we say things matter. Because the human brain doesn't know the difference between somebody trying to manipulate me and somebody who's really passionate or who doesn't really know. Like, I don't know, right? Like, if you ever meet like somebody at a party or somebody at a networking event and they're really shy and they're like stumbling over their words and they don't really know what to say, like in your brain, now most of us are experienced in our brains, the first thought might be, because we have experience, like, oh, they might be just new and they might be scared. But in the very far back of your brain, you're like, something isn't right. And the problem with that is, if you get somebody who's not experienced, they don't know the difference between they're trying to do me harm and they're just new and they don't know what they're doing. Or they're really excited. You ever met that person too? Really excited. And you're like, dude, whoa. Like something, like you're trying a little too hard here. I'm a little nervous. Like, am I going to buy insurance that am I going to buy a magazine that's never going to come to my house? Like, right? Or the snake oil that's really not going to fix my eyes? Like, those two extremes right there, that's why we have fight or flight. And that's why if you get a customer like that and you're not navigating that right, they're either going to fight you and say LensCrafters or Costco, or they're going to leave and just be like, give me my lens prescription, I want to leave right now. Like, they don't know, right? So those words, that's why you say those things. That's why, like, when I get a handoff from a doctor, I might say, great, so it sounds like you talked to Dr. Peterson about this problem, and you're meeting with me to possibly solve, right, X, right? Great. It's like, you're like, great, give me 5 minutes, let's ask questions, yada, 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 right? Now, typically when customers come in, they might be comparing us to Costco or LensCrafters or whoever, right? Totally fine, that might even be the best option for you, but I'd love to take that 5 minutes and tell you why. It might be a little easier. And then I know people are coming in, so I'll spend the last couple minutes. We were gonna go over, Nisha wanted to go over like some conflict management stuff. Do you just get like, and I imagine that, that was because there's like, do you guys get a lot of like really aggressive, abrasive customers or? You can?
I feel like they probably have to talk people down from the time they're going to spend with them, than like reassuring them. Like I don't feel like I hear opticians very often be like, yeah, like I'm going to be like super quick, you'll be out of here. I feel like more often than not, they have a hard time getting people to.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. We talked about that last week, right? Yeah. Right. Well, and we talked about that last week. I think I addressed a little bit of how to do that. Do you guys remember that? Okay. That's probably the best way to do it. I mean, just tell them like, hey, we got 15 minutes. Good news for you. That means you're going to be out of here in 15 minutes. Like, and then you earn the right? Like all of these things are earning the right to like, so we were talking about interrupting somebody the other day. Just earn the right to interrupt them. Like, hey, I got 10 minutes. I got a hard stop. And then like when it's 10 minutes and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I got 10 minutes is up. I've got to go. Let's put a pin in this and come back later, right? Like then you're not offending anybody or making anybody mad. Now you might. And that's when you just like, great, leave, boom, right? Like you have some tips there. I think the number one thing you're talking about conflict or when you're talking about managing emotions, like, cause somebody might have gotten, I don't know if this ever happens, but I feel like it might, like it happened to me the first time my daughter went in, but we got like it wasn't unfavorable. It was just like a shocking kind of like diagnosis. Like my daughter had whatever in her eye, I can't remember, and so we were just like, I was like, whoa, dude. And so I was really anxious and worried and all these things, right? Like, and again, I'm anxious and worried and scared, but you don't know that. So what do you think? You think that I don't like you. You're trying to, whatever, right? Like, so there's two stories that we tell ourselves. There's what actually is happening and then the story that we're making up in our head about what's actually going on, right? Like, so if you get somebody like that, that's when empathy and just open, right, like communication will come into play.
I think going along with that, like we were talking about conflict management, like there's patients that, especially if they bought products and something's not working, they just come in like fired up, like they have to be that like angry person to be able to do what they want. And so I think we were talking about that disarming, like things you can say, like oh man, like I'm so sorry that happened. Let's get you. We're gonna help you out. Like just let them know right off the bat. Like we're gonna take care of you. Like you got your lenses here. Like sometimes that like taking that edge off. Like, okay. We're gonna take care of you. Like
or
I apologize that maybe at other places you've had to feel like you have to fight for this, but really like you're gonna take care of
it. That's it. Yes, that's the accusation on it, right? Like I know you probably like you got these from Costco. You probably had to. Yeah, that probably wasn't a good. Well, sounds like you got these from Costco. No worries. We're here to Eagle Vision. Yeah.
And I don't have as much experience as you do necessarily, but I don't even know that it's the fact that like you have to put something or someone else down to be able to raise yourself up.
Right.
But like you're saying, it's just having confidence that like, hey, you're gonna get this product from us, and like I appreciate that you're trusting us to like help you get your glasses to be able to see.
Fix. Yeah.
That's something that's like really important and vital for your life. And I just want you to know, like, I'm going to take care of that. So even if it means that, like, you get these glasses and something needs to be tweaked with the doctor about your prescription, that happens sometimes. We're going to take care of it. So just know, any problems, just come back and we'll help you out.
Exactly. I think the best video on conflict management, maybe you've all seen this. Have you ever seen the video, It's Not About the Nail? Yeah. On YouTube? It's not about the nail?
Oh. So, like, wipe
the nail. So the wife has a nail in her forehead. Yeah, there's like, she's like, not so much here, not so much, but right here. Yeah, and the husband's like, well, that's easy. You have a nail in your forehead. And she's like, no. Right. And then at the end of the video, what does he say? And then that changes the whole conversation.
It's like, I'm so sorry. That sounds really hard.
Yeah, and she's like, it is, thank you. And then like, boom. So they show that video in marriage counseling a lot. That's why I've probably seen it. No, I'm just kidding. But it's great for like that's the best one for conflict management. Like, I'm so pissed my glass. Oh my gosh, that's hard.
Yeah, I think sometimes they just need to be heard. So if you just sit down with them and ask them, like, so tell me about what's going on.
Yeah.
Then if you're sitting at their level and you're making eye contact with them and you're just relaxed and you're not like stiff and defensive too.
Yeah.
Like then they're able to relax and just get it all off their chest.
And you label their emotions, yep.
And then, like, they calm down, then you can.
And then you can start fixing the problem, yeah. He's like, yeah, that must be really scary. Your glasses don't work. I can't imagine that. So yeah, we'll get this taken care of. But you're going to label their emotions. You're going to level with them. And then you're just going to fix it. I mean, that's conflict management. Now, if you have like really, like Nisha said, like there was some really aggressive customers in here that, you know, you might just need to escort out or like,
Yeah, and we've talked about this a little
Yeah.
bit, but you don't have to put up with it. Like, I've
No.
had patients back there getting me, and I'm just like, if you want me to help you,
yeah,
we gotta calm down. We're not gonna do that. None of you can put up with that.
right.
You can just ask them to leave and come back or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Manager.
I was going to say, yeah, if it gets past a certain point, like there's only so much that you're expected to do anyway. If it gets past a certain point, then like I just tell people like,
To your age,
right,
who they think you are.
right, like
You're helping that age.
it's also like America. Eagle Vision's not, we're not a, you don't have to be here, man. Like, there's a,
I'm not gonna help you if you're acting like
yeah. So that's totally cool. So before I let you go, we got like 4 minutes. Do you, anybody have any questions or like want me to clarify anything, or has it been helpful? Has it not been helpful?
I got one quick question. I don't know if we
Yeah.
have time, but is there a way, like when you're dealing with somebody, you're selling something, to identify that I don't want to spend 10 minutes with you? You know, like there's some people, it's like, because sometimes you'll spend an hour and you go, I wish I would have got them out of here.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they just suck the time out of us and they
Right.
end up buying nothing. And so, I mean, is there simple ways to kind of gauge that
Mm-hmm.
early on? I don't know.
Yeah, so that's going to be qualifying, right? So qualifying means you can disqualify. Means like, look, like we had on Tuesday, the guy was like, he was like, I just want my prescription. And then he like left. And it's like, okay, even if we were going to try, it's not worth our time, right? Print off the prescription, pay for the contacts, just get out, dude, move on to the next one. So I think most of it is just kind of like feeling it out. But the other part is like questions, right? So one thing that and it's good that you asked that, because one thing that I want you to do is I'm going to give you, we talked about like scripts and guides last week. And so what I'm going to tell you might not sound exactly like how you want to say it, but you need to find some way of saying, like, after you ask your 4 or 5 go-to questions, right? Have you had glasses before? Who's your insurance? Are you looking at other glasses? Is this the first? Whatever questions you're going to go through and ask them. Maybe we can write some down. You're going to ask them, like, cool, so it's that last question, right? Great, so your insurance covers X. That means you can plan on spending between $50 and $100 today with us, depending on what you're looking for. And then the question that I would ask here is, so if we find a pair of glasses that you like and we get you out of here in time, is this something you're ready to do today? Like, are you ready to buy glasses today from us? And that might be for me, it might sound a little harsh, but you guys can probably figure out a cleaner way of saying that, but that's what I would ask. Is like, in your own way, right? Like, is this something you're ready to do today? Because if they say, no, right? Then you can be like, oh, interesting. I mean, a lot of our customers, when they get a prescription, you know, about 45% of our customers after they get a prescription end up getting a pair of glasses. I'm just curious, you know, is it us? Is it what we did wrong? Like, what might I be missing, right? And then let them explain. And if it's just one of those questions, it's like, dude, this guy couldn't make a decision on dinner, right? Much less $500 pair of glasses. Like, maybe set an appointment, come back, right? Or something like that. I don't want you to judge too quickly, so I would always ask 2 questions, right? Is this something you're ready to do today if we find what you like? I mean, obviously, Shauna, things would have to be perfect, I realize. But if it was, is this something you're ready to do? No? Okay, that's interesting. I mean, a lot of our customers do. Is there a specific problem that we're trying to solve today that might make a difference, or is this something that you're just gonna have to sit on no matter what? I'm gonna have to sit on it no matter what. Great, 5 minutes, show them everything you got, schedule an appointment, have them come back, right? Like, or like, I mean, if we could find these glasses that I really like and make the price work and the lenses, I'm a little worried about that. Like, if you hear problems that you can solve with that question, right? Then you're like, okay, cool, we can spend the time. But if they're just like, no way, there's no way, I'll never buy a pair of glasses from you or anybody, I don't care if you're my mom, right? Like, cool. That's what I would do, but I would find a way to ask that question that you're comfortable with. And I would throw in today, because that's like the most important word that you can ask. It's like, if it was perfect, would you buy it today? It might even be that, right? And you might even say it a little cheeky with a laugh, right? Like, if that's your personality. So that's what I would do. But yeah, all right. I know you got patience.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.